Or yet in wise old Ravenclaw, if you've a ready mind, where those of wit and learning will always find their kind. Hi, hello, and welcome. I'm Spencer, and this is Common Spence, and today I am going to be recommending books to the House of Ravenclaw. Now, as I was sitting down to figure out which books I wanted to recommend to the House of Ravenclaw, I wanted to find stories that had really interesting questions that they posed, or sort of world building or mythology, so those are the books that I want to share with you today. And of course, I'll be having some very special guests coming in to make recommendations of their very own, so be sure to stay tuned for that because this video is going to be full of a Ravenclaw goodness. That being said, let's go ahead and dive into these recommendations because I am very excited to share these books with all of my Ravenclaw friends. The first book that I want to recommend to Ravenclaws is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. When Frances meets Olid, the shy visionary behind her favorite podcast, her ambitious Ivy League focus is shaken. For the first time, she feels free, but a sudden influx of new listeners breaks the trust that was just starting to grow between her and Olid. Stuck somewhere between who she is and who she wants to be, Frances will have to confront her past to overcome the white noise buzzing in her mind and put an end to her radio silence with Olid. Now, if you've been following this channel, you will know that this is one of my favorite books, and I kind of had a hard time deciding which house I thought this book best fell into. But ultimately, I decided to put it in the House of Ravenclaw because I think this story, as you continue to read it page by page, is full of unexpected surprises. This book is the master at sort of subverting tropes and doing things that you wouldn't expect and throwing new elements and new layers into the story. And I think that the analytically minded Ravenclaws out there will really love getting to see more and more things getting added as the story progresses. This has so much incredible commentary on friendship and family and growing up and coming of age. And honestly, if you haven't read Radio Silence, what are you doing with your life, first of all? Second of all, you need to read this book because I absolutely adore it, and I think anyone out there who is in the House of Ravenclaw will feel the same. The next book that I want to recommend to the House of Ravenclaw is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. Ever since he was a child, Laszlo Strange has been haunted by Weep, an alluring mythical city buried deep within his dreams. When Laszlo learns that Weep exists far beyond the reaches of his imagination, however, the chance of a lifetime presents itself. Venture to the city and uncover its mysteries. With more questions than answers, he'll have to tread carefully to ensure that the city of his dreams doesn't become a nightmare. This one was an absolute no-brainer, and the reason why this is a Ravenclaw recommendation, one word, mythology. Laini Taylor is the master of mythology. She always has really interesting, complex worlds that she builds. She has interesting characters that inhabit those worlds and raise a lot of questions. And to me, this is a perfect book for the Ravenclaws out there who want something meaty that they can sink their teeth into. And of course, it's just a nice little bonus that it happens to be blue. I mean, it's like it was meant to be, you guys. This is an excellent time to pick up this book because the sequel, Muse of Nightmares, is coming out in just a few weeks, and there's like 15 different read-alongs happening right now for Strange the Dreamer, so there's loads of friends you can read along with if you want to. However, no matter when you decide to read Strange the Dreamer, if you call yourself a Ravenclaw, this is one that you absolutely can't miss. The next book that I want to recommend to Ravenclaws is We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. The fate of our universe rests in the hands of a teenage boy. Aliens have given Henry Denton a button with the power to stop the impending apocalypse. Only Henry's not so sure that our world is worth saving. Reeling from the loss of his boyfriend, a tough home life, and the confusing way he's treated by so many around him, Henry must decide if humanity really deserves a second chance. This is a Ravenclaw recommendation because I think it poses a really interesting central question. Is humanity worth saving? This is one of those eye-opening books that you kind of have to read a couple of times, I think, to really fully internalize everything that's going on within it, which again makes it a perfect pick for the House of Ravenclaw because this is one that you can sink your teeth into, read again and again, and really pick apart to get to the heart of the matter. And of course, anything that explores intergalactic worlds and aliens and sort of cool sci-fi elements, I feel like fits in really well with the Ravenclaw house. So if you're looking for a story with some LGBT+ elements and some hard-hitting central questions, then look no further than We Are the Ants, because if you're in the House of Ravenclaw, this is one that I think you're really going to enjoy. The next book that I want to recommend to the House of Ravenclaw is This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. In a city divided, violence has begun to breed wicked, physical monsters. Our story follows two heirs to the city, Kate and August. Kate is a human who longs to be as ruthless as her father, while August is a monster who longs to be as good and kind-hearted as he can. After a failed assassination attempt, these two will be thrust together as they flee for their lives. This is a Ravenclaw recommendation because of its world building, you guys. I absolutely love the world that Victoria Schwab creates in this story because not only do we have this interesting dichotomy with a city divided sort of in this future technological society, but on top of that we have the mythology of these monsters, and there's a different hierarchy to the monsters, and they have different powers and abilities, and there are different things that create different kinds of monsters. And really there's so many different layers and aspects to this world that she has baked in here to make it feel as real and as expansive as possible. Tack on top of that an exciting adventure and interesting relationship between our two central characters, and this book is a recipe for Ravenclaw success. And the next book I want to recommend to the House of Ravenclaw is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. Clay Jannon's life as a San Francisco web designer has been uprooted by the Great Recession. Landing a gig as a clerk at Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore, he soon realizes that something peculiar is afoot. Customers are few, and those they have merely borrow strange, obscure volumes from the corners of the store. As his analytical mind dives deeper and deeper into the mystery, he and his friends will discover a secret they never could have imagined. 2 words for you guys: secret society. And as I was just saying, our protagonist is a really analytical, problem-solving type of person. When he's confronted by a problem, he wants to know the answer, and he's very resourceful, using everything at his disposal, including technology and his friends, to try to crack the code. This book ended up being way more exciting and interesting than I originally anticipated when I picked it up, because I love the introduction of secret societies and like code breaking and working together to unravel this centuries-old mystery. I think any Ravenclaw out there will be able to find some part of themselves in Clay Jannon, our protagonist, and I think they would really enjoy getting to unravel this mystery right alongside him. So those are some books that I think Ravenclaws would enjoy, but again, you don't have to take my word for it, because I have some official Ravenclaws standing by to give you recommendations of their very own. So let's pop over to the Ravenclaw common room and see what they have to say.
Hi friends, my name's Samantha from Samantha Reading here on YouTube, and my Ravenclaw recommendation for you today is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. Not only does it have the word Raven in the title, but this book has so much mystery and magic and friendship that any Ravenclaw is sure to love it. This book follows our main character, Blue Sargent, who has been told her entire life by her clairvoyant family that she will eventually cause her true love to die. This gets more complicated when she falls in with 4 local schoolboys she calls the Raven Boys, who are on a mission to uncover the dead Welsh king called Glendower. History says that whoever wakes Glendower from his sleep will be granted a favor, so the 5 of them go on an adventure together to continue searching for this dead Welsh king. The Raven Boys is a magical realism book, so unexplainable magic is woven through this story, making the adventures of Blue and her Raven Boys more unpredictable and beautiful than they could have imagined. Because of the history surrounding the legend of Glendower, the friendship of these 5 characters, and the magic that ties everything together, the Raven Boys really is the perfect Ravenclaw recommendation.
Expelliarmus! Hello everyone, my name is Sophie from the channel Sophisticated Books, and I'm a Ravenclaw. So for some Ravenclaw book recommendations, I wanted to suggest Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, which happens to be my favorite book of the year so far. I read this as soon as it came out because it appealed to me so much. And if you haven't picked it up, you really should. Truly Devious is set at the mysterious Ellingham Academy for the brightest thinkers, inventors, and geniuses, which was founded in the 20th century by Albert Ellingham, who seek to construct a school filled with riddles and enigmas to make learning a game. Organized in two gripping timelines, the book narrates the crime that took place in the academy in 1936, when Albert Ellingham's wife and daughter were kidnapped by the so-called Truly Devious. The second timeline is set in present-day time, and it follows true crime expert Stephanie Bell, who has just been accepted into the school. For her term project, Stephanie has devised an ambitious plan to solve this old case. That is, as long as she herself doesn't get murdered when Truly Devious makes an appearance once again. This is the definition of a perfect Ravenclaw book. The writing and the descriptions never stopped impressing me. The imagery the author used to build up our image of this eccentric, eerie place was extremely precise, but not too condensed or unnecessarily flowery. So in total, there were 5 aspects that made this the perfect Ravenclaw novel. First, it was written impressively but clearly. Second, the personalities and multiple characters were unique and unusual. You have a wide range of personas, like a massively successful 16-year-old novelist, an actor, and a crime expert. Third, the mystery was thrilling, incredibly addicting, but it hasn't been solved yet. It leaves our minds racing even by the end, and all the possible theories just blow your mind. Number 4, what Ravenclaw, obsessed within their own field of interest, wouldn't love to read about a school that was literally made for the peculiar and different? This is the weirdest school ever for talented misfits, and I assure you it's amazing. And lastly, number 5, it's like finally featuring the Ravenclaws at Hogwarts, except this is not Harry Potter yet and there's no magic. But the excitement of finally seeing your kind of people represented in an academy is felt. So I really hope you read this book because it's absolutely incredible. Swish and flick.
Hey everyone, my name is Chelsea. I'm coming to you from my channel called Chelsea Palmer. It's my name, I'm a genius. But I am here for a recommendation for all of you over-analytical, overthinking readers known as Ravenclaws. And that book is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. I'm pretty sure this book embodies Ravenclaws to a T. So, we are following Eliza, who is a very socially anxious teenager navigating high school, but unbeknownst to all of her fellow students, she is the biggest fanfiction writer for a huge fandom online, and the plot thickens when her biggest fan and fellow writer comes to her high school and she's battling to keep this secret from him while a romance starts to ensue. It's got everything great in it. Now, Ravenclaws are described as being witty, creative, and wise, and I am pretty positive that Eliza is herself a Ravenclaw. She is incredibly witty. Her dialogue is so snarky and sassy. I laughed out loud multiple times while reading this. She's clearly extremely wise and creative because she has a huge following online following her writing, so clearly she's very creative, extremely smart, and I'm pretty sure she is definitely a Ravenclaw. I read this book in one sitting. I have never related to a book character more than I have to Eliza. I think she is so witty and brave, and she really appeals to the very introverted and very book knowledgeable part of being a Ravenclaw. I just adored her. I adored everything about this book, and I really hope you guys like it too.
Hi new friends, my name is Pip from Pip Reads. How you doing? I'm from Australia. How cool is that? Ugh. The internet is so weird and wonderful. Anyway, I've been invited to share with my fellow Ravenclaws, because Ravenclaw pride, a book that I think they're really going to love. And I'll admit it was really hard to pick just one, but I found it, and it is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Agawa. Guys, this book is so Ravenclaw. It is perfect for people who love to learn and people who love those like beautiful, gentle stories that just like rip your heart out and leave you ugly crying on public transport. Yeah, it's one of those ones. The story is about a housekeeper who's employed to look after a professor who suffers from short-term memory loss. And it's just so beautiful, guys. At the start of this book, you're introduced to this aging professor who's like clips post-it notes to his old faded blazer so he remembers who he is. Like, this is the book we're going for here, guys. Oh, it's so good. It's just 180 pages and it's perfect if you want to dip your toes into some adult literature. The reason why I think this book is so perfect for my fellow Ravenclaws is because at its heart, it is about a teacher. It is about a professor who loves his subject and loves teaching his subject, and it's just so beautiful. I won't spoil what subject he teaches, but it is just, he's just so passionate about it, you know? Like, he just loves his subject so much and he wants to share that love and share that beauty with other people. He just draws you in so carefully and delicately. It just, you can't help but fall in love with his subject too. It is just so beautiful, and like that's why I think it's perfect for my fellow Ravenclaws. Big thank you to Spencer for inviting me to this collab. I had a lot of fun and I hope you really like this book. If you have already read this book, maybe come check out my channel because maybe you'll like it. Sometimes I'm a bit extra and I put in these like hand-drawn animations. What is my life? Anyway, I hope you really love this book and let's hear what the next Ravenclaw has got to say.
Hey guys, my name is Chloe and I'm from the channel Books with Chloe, and as you can see I am in Ravenclaw. So I'm here today to recommend a book that I think my fellow Ravenclaws will love, and it also happens to be one of my absolute favourite books of all time. That book is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. So obviously this is a classic. I'm sure most of you know the synopsis of this book. I'm not going to go into the synopsis, but I know that a lot of people actually haven't read this, and this is just perfect for Ravenclaws. Our main character Alice is a Ravenclaw herself. 100%. Alice is super individualistic. She thinks outside the confines of societal expectations. She's living in a world of her own. She's super creative and original and doesn't feel like she really fits in, which a lot of Ravenclaws I'm sure can relate with. And she actually really reminds me of Luna Lovegood, who is obviously one of our Ravenclaw housemates. I love Alice. She's extremely curious, wanting to learn new things, which is what ultimately leads her to go down the rabbit hole. And I'm sure a lot of us Ravenclaws would love to go to Wonderland and explore and learn all the different things that Wonderland has to offer. Apart from the character of Alice, this story in itself is just super fun to analyse, and there are so many different interpretations, so I think that's a really fun thing that us Ravenclaws love to do. Analyse books and come up with our own interpretations of the story. There is also so much to unpack in this story. There are so many different layers, so many different themes, and as we know, originality is a trait of Ravenclaw House, and the story is just super original and unique. So yeah, ultimately I think this is the perfect book for Ravenclaws. I think a lot of Ravenclaws would love this book. I, for one, absolutely love it, and I'm a Ravenclaw. So I wanted to recommend this to my fellow Ravenclaws who haven't read this yet. And even if you watch the movie, you definitely still need to read it. It's just amazing, and I love it. And yeah, that's my recommendation. So if you do pick this up, I hope you absolutely love it. It is a classic, and it's well loved for a reason. It is absolutely amazing, and we need to support our girl Alice, who would 100% be seen in the Ravenclaw common room.
Absolutely marvelous, ladies. Thank you so much. 10 points to Ravenclaw. Thanks again to all of my Ravenclaw friends who made this collaboration possible, and of course be sure to check out the description below to find links to all of their channels so that you can go and show them some Ravenclaw love. Alright you guys, that's gonna do it for this recommendations video. If you think I did a good job, you can do me a huge solid by hitting the thumbs up button and subscribing to my channel. I make new videos literally all the time, and I would love for you to become a part of my bookish family. In the comments below, be sure to let me know what books you would recommend to the Ravenclaw house, because I am very interested to see what books you think our analytical problem-solving friends would most enjoy. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up, which means please remember, wherever you go and whatever you do, always practice good common sense. I hope to see you next time.